Welcome to the Bank Marketing Show, the podcast that engages and informs you for success in today's marketplace. It's the show that will make you a better marketer with trends, tactics, and inspiration from experts and industry leaders. If you're wanting to impact your personal success and position your bank as the best choice in your market, you're in the right place. Now let's dive into today's show with your hosts, Chris and Dan.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Bank Marketing Show. Certainly glad to have everyone with us today. Dan and I are really excited about the direction in our guests today. So a lot of great value to come. So Dan, I know that you've had a connection with our guest today, and man, super excited about this.
Yeah. So today we have on Autumn Jose, who's a AVP and brand marketing coordinator at Civista Bank in Ohio. Welcome, Autumn. It's good to have you on.
Thank you so much, Dan and Chris, for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Great.
Yeah, and so you've been at the bank 14 years. You've done we're gonna get into this today, but you've done lots of cool things, growing the bank's social program, helping people across the bank be brand advocates, and I know you're also I don't know what to call it, like a frequent participant in Toastmasters, really invested in helping people, helping your community. So great kind of values to help a community bank. But so we'll get into the social stuff. That's going to be the focus of this episode. So it's really interesting. We've talked about social programs at banks on prior episodes of the show. You've actually invested a lot of time and have a pretty successful program. So that's going to kind of be the focus of the episode today. But let's start. Tell us a little bit more about your role at the bank. And you've been there a while, so you've seen social media evolve, marketing evolve. So tell us a bit about your role and kind of what you've seen change in the marketing social realm with your time there.
Sure. As you said, I'm Assistant Vice President, Brand Marketing Specialist at Civista. I'm real close to my 14 years being here, and I've been in marketing itself for nearly 20. When I first started the bank, there was a lot more traditional marketing going on at the time. You think of the newspaper ads, phone book print ads, and really zero things on the web, except our bank website. And today we've merged into more dynamic digital content across social media, Google, and a huge focus is still on our relationships. That's one thing that has not changed. Being a community bank, we really want to emphasize that relationship building with our customers. And one of the biggest shifts I've seen is really how we engage with customers, whether it's online or in person, but really empowering our employees to be part of that brand voice.
Yeah, so that's a good lead into your Social Stars program, right? I know in our prior conversations to get ready for the recording here, we've talked in depth about this, but it's really one of the themes we've had on our show when we talk about social media is people don't want to follow banks. People don't want to follow, people aren't tuned into their social media to see what the latest update from their bank is, but they do want to follow people. So it's a really, interesting way you put it of just empowering the staff at your bank to be brand advocates. So tell us, what is the Social Stars program and kind of where did it come from? Why did you launch it?
Sure. The Social Stars program is truly an employee advocacy program that allows employees to be empowered to utilize things like social media to be able to represent our brand. And, in banking, it's a different realm. And like you said, nobody wants to hear what the bank has to say, or, I'm the person behind that brand for the bank. And they're going to trust a person more than they're going to trust what a logo says. Mm-hmm. So incorporating that into our brand strategies was really important. A little history on how it got started. So let's picture it, 2019. I had this idea, looking at our engagement on our social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, across the board, it was really low, especially with our employees. So I thought there has to be a way that we can increase this and give more empowerment to our employees. And I started really researching other bankers and what they were doing. And I found a couple in the industry who already had a program set up, and I learned from them. I presented it to my boss at the time, and she's like, wow, this is a great idea. Create a plan and we'll present it to the executive team. Well, like I said, this was 2019, and then 2020 hit. We all know what happened. So it kind of got put on the back burner. I was really frustrated, to be honest, because I wanted it to launch that year. But, sometimes it's a blessing in disguise when things don't work out the way you want it. And I took that time for the next couple of years to really invest myself in learning and developing a cohesive program that would work. So it was 2022. I brought this back up to my boss again, and we got in front of executive management. It got approved, and here we are today, 2025, in our third year. It's been really successful. And one of the things that was my goal is to really empower those employees who are part of the program to represent the brand authentically and be almost like an extension to our brand. I saw an opportunity to move from that, I guess, corporate only behind the logo voice and bring something more personal and local that in a way to deepen our relationships with our customers.
And your backstory that you started with, Autumn, sounds so familiar with so many of our listeners for this podcast, and the leadership and the marketing directors and the marketing teams that work for so many banks across the country that have, as you said, moved from traditional, into digital, and at some point in recent years have gotten further into or finally engaged in social media. So that part of the story is very common, amongst community banks with what you've had to say. But what I love about this, and Dan knew about your Social Stars program and then told me about it. I was like, wow, I want to hear more about that. And so this is great stuff, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about you kind of unpacking this further. So one of the key things that you mentioned in that is growing follower engagement, followers and engagement, I guess it is. So can you tell us a little bit more about that? And as Social Stars kind of, I guess the wheels started turning on it, a little bit more about that, kind of growing results.
Yeah, so kind of two parts. So when this idea came to fruition, our employees are doing so many amazing things within the community and in their branches. And we're spanned from Northeast Ohio all the way to Southeastern Indiana. And you really think about our areas and the branches they're in, they're all completely different, from one another. Not, you have the rural communities, you have the urban communities, getting into the city. So they all have something different to bring to the table. And being able to, I guess, engage and activate employees in those areas it just deepens that brand presence in those areas, and it really humanizes who we are through our ambassadors and meets our customers where they are. With that, when you go back, we had really low engagement, and banks being highly regulated and just finding that way to bring that inclusivity back to the employee to be active and feel empowered to be active and not afraid to I don't want to say this and get in trouble. That just really gave me a way to look deeper into how to make this program work. So when I looked back, kind of looking back when we first started, I really started seeing those increases in the engagement rates, especially on Facebook and LinkedIn. That first quarter, I was so at awe. Our Facebook increased 189% and LinkedIn increased 149%. And our reach has grown. And most importantly, the quality of the interactions has really improved. And that's really outside of the Social Stars. I think when they saw the Social Stars being active, it really empowered all the employees to start being more active on our social platforms. And so when real employees share real experiences, like I have the Social Stars doing, that really connects with their audience, and people will resonate more with that human side versus, like I said before, what that brand or logo is saying. And it really reinforces our reputation and deepens our loyalty across the board.
Tell us, I guess, a little more the tactical stuff of like, I know you've done trainings for the staff, and how often are you telling them to post, and like what is give us a little like hint into like the day-to-day of what the program looks like.
And even kind of how you recruited them and set that up as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So for the stars, I encourage them to try to post 2 to 3 times a week. Sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't. It depends. This is really, truly a volunteer thing. They're doing it because they love the brand. And I don't want to be pushy and like, oh, you have to do this. I know they have other responsibilities at the bank, but they still step up, and I give grace when, I know they're busy and they can't make those 2 to 3 posts a week. But I do a library inside. We use Social Assurance, and I do a library inside of there for them. And that's truly, really the branded like product, service, content. I ask them like, hey, what do you want to talk about? What's important to you in your role at the bank that would resonate with your audience? So I kind of take a deep dive into looking at what they want to share. And then I build out content based on that. So what, say, maybe my commercial lender on the team has in their library might not be the same what the learning and development specialist has in her library. But really, I really want them to be empowered to create their own content and based off their own experiences, whether it's their job, if they're a manager, share some information out there on your LinkedIn about, here's my top 3 tips on managing a team. I really want them to dive into their personal brand and grow that, as well as, being that extra brand arm for our brand. With Social Assurance, everything goes through compliance. So anything that's branded or product or service related, it gets through that approval process first, which makes a big difference. And then we have that audit tracking we can go back to if we need it.
So it's really, it's relatively high touch for you. It's not just saying, hey, you like social, great, go post on social about the bank.
Right.
You're helping them.
Yeah, I'm helping them. We do training. When they get onboarded, I do an application process at the beginning, it's probably November, and I open it up to anybody that wants to join, but they have to be with the bank for a whole year. And that really sets the tone. Hey, I love this brand. I want to be part of this. And I know that they're trained and efficient in their job. I don't want to pull them into something too soon. So they do go through the application process. There might be some people I notice that are doing really well in social media, just on their LinkedIn, and they're posting frequently on different things. And I'll be like, hey, here's a little nudge. I want you to apply. I think you'd be a great social star. But they'll apply, and then they decide whether or not if they want to join. I require that they go through the interview process. They have buy-in with their supervisor, so they know and they're on board with this. And then January, I do a full December, I do a full training on Social Assurance, get them set up with some content, learn more about what their goals are. And then January, they hit the road running with their post. And then I know the beginning, that first quarter is a little tough, just like, hey, if you need extra training, here I am, reach out to me. And then on a quarterly basis, I meet with the team, and we, I'll have a topic we'll go over, or just brainstorm some ideas for the next quarter.
And is your goal in the growing of that team, even through the application process and all of that, like you said, you guys Civista's spread out geographically a good bit and all of that. So is that part of your goal as you look at the composition of your Social Stars team, is to try to be spread out geographically? You probably don't want 4 people in one branch. You probably want people, or in one particular role within the bank. Is that the case? And trying to kind of, again, help our listeners thinking, okay, well, I'm a 5-branch bank or a 10-branch bank or whatever. So kind of how would I need to maybe set up that team? How do you do that, Autumn?
I don't, there's some I have multiple from branches.
Okay.
Indiana location, they're real eager. They really like being part of this, but I don't really put any hard stuff like I can only have this many. My goal is regionally. We're broken into regions in our bank. That's more of an internal piece, but I really like to have representation across the board, at least one person in each region that can help assist. And, they're out there themselves engaging with the community, but also connecting with all the branches in their region. And they can bring in more stories for themselves to tell, or even say, hey, did you know this is happening? And they're kind of like the eyes and ears out there in the regions. So I don't have a specific any type of role that the bank can join. That's what I think, that's the beauty of it, because they're all from different lines of business. Then they all have a different story that they can share.
And if you just had, loan officers in the program, it's going to, it's going to feel very salesy. It's going to feel much different than if you just had an organic mix of people that are excited about the brand.
Exactly.
I think too, like one thing I was thinking about as you were saying that was like, you're a relatively big community bank, but so a bank with 2-3 locations won't have regions, but the things you're saying apply to any size of bank, of like, maybe you're not doing the regions, but you get people that are excited about the brand to apply and participate. And I think we can't underestimate the importance of the support, the support you're giving the team, and using a tool like Social Assurance that just makes it easier. They're not on their own with just the Facebook platform itself. And, it's solving a lot of the compliance concerns. I see that a lot too. If like you let employees out to post, and either they're too worried about hitting up the compliance walls, or they go a little too far, and your compliance team kind of comes back, but you've got a process for managing that.
Right. And does that work within you're providing the training and you're providing a library of content? So Dan, I was thinking the exact same thing. And so Autumn, is that how you kind of backstop a lot of the people just going off the rails, and representing the bank or mentioning the bank in their own social, and it's not at all what you intended, because you're providing training and content that really helps stopgap that. Is that correct?
Exactly correct. That's one of the things I really emphasize when they get onboarded into the program. Like, I'll provide, you tell me what you're looking to talk about. If you're a commercial lender and they really want to focus on, commercial loans, or if they're in retail and they're like, I want to really focus on HELOCs during the year, then I can build out that content for them, and it keeps them out of the muddy waters and worrying if they're saying the right thing. But when it comes to them creating their own content and just those own personal experiences, then, that's the beauty, that it still comes through me when they post it. If it's something they're creating, I still have to see it and make sure they're not saying anything wonky and out of line. And I'm able to edit, just be that second set of eyes, and I push it through. If I have any doubts, I will push it over to compliance and see what they think. But that's happened maybe twice in the past 3 years.
So what about metrics as well? Dan, you may have been going there also, and kind of what you've seen on that, and your stars themselves.
Yeah, like what how have you mentioned a couple stats of how your engagement has grown. So tell them more about that. But then what has happened also to the stars own followers, own metrics.
Yeah. So when I first started doing this, it was just like, okay, I got to track, kind of keep an eye on the bank brand. Like, how are things progressing on our engagement on that front? But also, I always ask each month, hey, here's your post. I run a report in Social Assurance. I send them their sheet. Fill out your engagement or your impressions, your engagement, and I'll calculate the engagement rate. And we'll just kind of see how you're growing in the content that you're sharing. Maybe there's a pattern we can pick out. Like, this isn't working for you. Let's shift into this realm and see how this works. And that's been really successful. And I've seen them each year. We progressively get a greater increase in our engagement rates. I measure it per team, as the team, and individually as well. Last year I did a bingo challenge each quarter. I said, here's a bingo sheet, and it's really based kind of seasonally. And I said, here's some prompts for you to get you started on some ideas for content that you can build yourself. I was really pushing create your own content. So, I have 16 people on the team right now, and that's a lot of content to create on my own. So I really want them to be empowered to do this. But at the end of the quarter, if they would send me the first 3 people that send me like, hey, I have a bingo here, I will review it, go back and look at their post. If they're the top in the 3 that send it to me, they get an incentive. So this year I'm doing something a little different because I'm being more strategic in what I'm tracking. And I have a MVP star, I have a stellar star, and a hype star. And the MVP is really across the board. How are they performing? I've added in what are they doing for the bank brand. So I'm kind of watching, are they sharing stuff on Facebook and LinkedIn that the bank brand is sharing? Are they resharing that back to their audience? And that's a big factor in the MVP star. And then the hype and the stellar star, that's really who had the highest impressions and who had the highest engagement for the month. Well, I track it each month. And then at the end of the quarter, whoever had the best, I'll pick the 3 and they get a incentive within our employee logo shop. And that I'm actually working through that right now for this past quarter. So it makes it fun and it keeps them engaged. And
yeah, that's what I was just going to ask was like, how do you, I've seen banks try to, a lot of banks try to like get their staff posting more, and maybe they don't have a formal program like Social Stars, but the biggest struggle I think is, the biggest struggle is getting people started. But the second biggest struggle is 6 months later, 12 months later, keeping them posting consistently. So I think that's, just the awards and the monthly reviews is a great way to keep that engagement going. But are there other things that you're doing to help keep them posting? If somebody runs into trouble or falls off after a while,
I do check in those that fall off. I'm like, hey, is everything okay? And sometimes it might just be they're really busy with their job. But, I'll say, hey, do you need a brainstorm session? Let's get together. And then someone will be like, yes, I need to reach out. Let's take a look at what we're doing and we'll go from there. I'm really excited on the brand side. We're working with Social Assurance on some brand stories with some of our customers. And a lot of the social stars, I'm going to pull them in once those are developed and be able to share them out into their platforms. So that's something to come. I'm really excited about that.
Cool. That's with customer stories that are, and are some of those originating or kind of being brought in from your Social Stars team?
There's a couple that's been on our project team in helping develop that. We're in the very beginning stages of it. So that, I'm hoping by 3rd, 4th quarter, we have a couple stories at least out there, and then I can pull those stars in to help engage and push that out onto their platforms.
Okay.
Yeah, exciting.
One of the things from, that's also cool. And one of the things from our conversations about this, and Dan and I's prior conversation with you about it, is it would seem to me, and you've seemed to reflect, that for your team and your participants, you mentioned that their supervisor has to approve their participation, and that makes sense logistically. But also the benefit both to your social stars, your team, and then benefit overall culture, for the bank. Because it would seem that, again, a teller, a loan officer, a CSR, who operations person, whoever it is, that's one of your social stars, that's going to look good on their own internal resume, so to speak. I mean, that's going to look good to their supervisors that they're going over and above their job because they're actually helping with marketing also. Right. And they're helping with, so maybe comment about that a little bit. And then it seems to me, again, to your bank's leadership, this whole program just seems like a really cool cultural thing. Because I know a lot of banks struggle with, how do we engage our people? How do we engage them in the brand? How do we engage them in their marketing? And obviously, this is kind of a select group of folks, but as you said, it's really representative. So maybe how does that feel to them individually? And then how does that feel to the bank's culture doing this Social Stars?
This is what I love about it because, you start at the beginning of the year, and there's been some that's been with me from the beginning. And especially when the newbies come on and they really build that confidence in what they're doing, not only in what they're posting, but you see that reflective in what they're doing in their communities and with their customers. So really it's spilling over into their daily interactions with one another. Like I said, I have people from commercial lending, treasury management, retail. There's me and another person in marketing. Trying to think, a lot of retail staff, but they're really, like you said, they're tapping into marketing skills. They're learning graphic design, content creation, utilizing AI, and then really engaging in their community. I just the other day, one of my social stars reached out. She's like, "Oh my gosh, guess what?" And I'm like, "What?" And she said she got asked to be on a board in our local town or her local town. And I was like, "That's awesome." And she's really, I've seen her grow this past year. She's been getting more involved and trying to get that branch specifically involved in the community more. And that's coming back to her in a good way and being asked to be on a board in the community. So I'm really proud of her. That's what I love to see is them grow and how they're taking what they're learning as a star and impacting not only their work, but their communities as well.
That's cool.
That's great. And another thing that helps keep people engaged. And, you see a coworker getting that kind of recognition and benefits from it. And, you're getting other staff, interested and motivated to help too.
Yes, definitely.
But, tell us a little about like kind of where you're going. You've got the Social Stars program established, and you've found the right rhythm to train people up to you have an annual application process to keep people engaged. Kind of where are you going from here? What are the next things you're working on?
Yeah, that's the thing, with this each year, I'm always trying to find that momentum. What can I do next? What can I do better? And one thing that we've been talking about is video. I know there's some that do a really good job at providing some video on their posts, but we're looking from a brand perspective. If they can get little snapshots here and there at events or parades, we can pull that content and create our own type of video from the brand side. So I'm really looking for them to do that. And the other day I got to thinking about just podcasting in general. I would like to be able to do something where I have my own podcast, I record it, have a guest as one of the social stars, and just share their experiences of maybe what they're doing in the community and how being part of the social stars has really impacted them, whether it's in their job or in their community. So more to come on that. That's just something that came to my mind, when you can't sleep at night and you get those great ideas flowing.
I can relate.
Well, that's great. And again, that's another internal piece that you're talking about, right? That's a communicator, amongst the entire bank team. And it's one more reason that leadership and marketing are talking to the whole team. So
right.
those are cool ideas, Autumn, and it's really inspirational, I would think, to our listeners that you're constantly thinking that, what's next to get you, because this Social Stars program is so cool and you've got it working successfully. And then kind of how are you even going to continue to catapult from it is really
so. Exactly. You can't stay in one spot or you're not going to grow, and you got to expand and think other ways to, like, one, to keep everybody engaged and be excited about the program, but two, to recruit new people to come on board for the next open enrollment period.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we kind of touched on how this setup can apply to smaller banks of different sizes, but if you were a bank listening to this thinking this might really work for us, like what's some advice you could give them on, getting started, thinking about starting up a program like this?
Start small, but build with intention. If you have this idea or you feel that this is something that'd be great for your organization, don't be afraid to bring it up to your supervisor. Start there. Make it about the people, not just about what you're posting. Really invest in the training and the support and building those relationships. I think most importantly is really listening to one another. Some of our best ideas truly come from our employees. So if you hear other employees wanting to be part of Social Stars, engage with, or not a social stars type program.
Yeah.
Engage with them if they're interested in posting on social media and, kind of collaborate those ideas. And, when they feel heard and celebrated, you're going to really have some big ambassadors behind your back.
Great.
And your origination story, too, one of the things that you mentioned was you got your boss's buy-in, but then you got executive leadership bought in. So it's not that they are necessarily your social stars, but that wouldn't be a bad idea either for one or two of those. But executive leadership was it. So again, this is reflected to everybody at the whole bank that leadership sees the value of this effort and this program, and it's really cool how you did that too. And I would think that would be one of those get started things, Dan, that you were just asking. Is outline this as it fits for your bank, and then get leadership bought into this. Not that's just a marketing person trying to do more stuff all the time, which they should be. But you know what I'm saying? It's not just that. It's no, leadership has bought into this. This is really going to impact the reach of the bank and impact our internal culture. And you're accomplishing those things is super cool.
Yeah,
exactly.
I was just going to add, it's the first year of this for another bank may just be like, hey, we've got one or two people that are already good on social, and we're just going to kind of direct and provide some support to them and then expand it from there. Most banks are not going to start with 20 people.
We started big. But I mean, we have over 500 employees. So I'm glad. Well, it'd be great if all 500 employees, but that'd be on my part, that'd be really hard to manage. But, just seeing the excitement and having, people across the board in our footprint love our brand and being out there sharing who we are and what they're doing, that makes a really big impact.
Yeah. And you make a great point, Dan. I mean, a 75 employee bank to scale this gets 3 involved. Or 4, to start and get the ball rolling. So, yeah. Cool. Love it.
Are you ready for the lightning round?
Yeah.
Yeah, this has been a great, great overview of the program, and hopefully we've sent some inspiration out into the world for other banks to do this, because it really does work, and it's much more interesting to follow people than it is just the bank. So I'd love to see other banks, getting involved, doing something similar. But yeah, let's get into the lightning round and go from there.
Get to know you a little better.
Yeah,
I'm ready. Fire away.
Share a personal best or a business best.
Okay, I have one for each. So my personal best, I would say, would be my junior year of high school, 1997. I was 4x1 and 4x200 meter relay West Virginia state champion. And it's been almost 30 years and we still hold the 4x1 record.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. On the business side, I would say really being part of Toastmasters. I've been part of that for a year now. And, I came right in running with serving as Vice President Public Relations Officer. Now I'm president of Western Maryland Toastmasters, and I'm also area director for Area 23. And really being part of Toastmasters has helped me grow my leadership and communication skills, which ultimately is helping me grow here at the bank.
Cool.
Great way to get involved. Very cool.
Yes, for sure.
Known a few people that have been through Toastmasters, and just you think of it as a public speaking, but it just
it's way more.
Yeah, it's way more. Helps with confidence in a lot of different areas, and I've only heard great things.
Yeah, that's awesome.
What's a favorite book or other resource right now?
Past couple of years, I love to read. One of my favorite books in the past couple of years has been a book called Be Where Your Feet Are. It's by Scott O'Neill. And in his book, he shares 7 principles to help you keep present in where you are. So if you're at work, be in that moment. If you're at home with your kids, be in that moment. And it really puts to perspective. And I kind of felt guilty in some of the parts of the reading, but it really puts things into perspective to truly be in the moment and where you're at.
I love that phrase. I've used that phrase before. I haven't read that book, but I
highly recommend it.
But yeah, so like in the digital world, and there's so many distractions. It's so easy to be like making dinner with your kids, and then you're suddenly on Facebook or on your phone doing something else.
Exactly.
I just put it in my Amazon cart. Seriously, that sounds like right down my alley of need and interest, Autumn. So thanks for that recommendation.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah.
What is the most impactful piece of advice you've received?
Okay, my friend and mentor, Sharon Imes, she told me that your net work is greater than your net worth. And that's really resonated with me this past year. And really meaning the more you grow your network, you're really building your relationships and your connections with people. And that truly could be more valuable than the money you have in the bank. And really, those relationships can ultimately lead to unexpected opportunities, which in the end could grow your bank. So I've been really leaning on that and just trying to build my network and the relationships I'm building around me. Toastmasters really taught me that.
I was thinking that sounded like a Toastmaster thing as you said it. That's great.
Yeah.
What's a piece of advice or something you always tell your staff, your team?
Well, this is something I've been conveying really now that I'm president of Toastmasters, but it's really across the board in anything I do in leadership I'm here to serve you, learn from you, and grow with you. We all have values to bring to the table, and it's not just like a one woman or one man show. It's really together our strengths will make us get to that next level. And that's really how I want to serve. I don't want to be like, I'm the boss, I'm the president, do what I say. I'm not like that. I have a servant's heart, and that's how I lead.
That's a great perspective. All right. Well, and then finally, the easiest question: how can people get in touch with you if they've got questions? For you. How can people follow the social stars? Follow the bank and see the good stuff that you're doing.
Yes, follow me on LinkedIn, Autumn Jose. You can just search me. I should pop up right away. I love growing my network there. If you have any questions, send me a private message, or I can give you my email address in the private message. You can reach out. We could schedule a meeting. I'm happy to do that if your bank is looking to put a program together like this. There's no sense, reinventing the wheel when you can learn from others. Also, I can help you if you want to follow all the social stars, see what everybody's doing across the board. I'm happy to share that. You could probably look back at an old post and learn who my social stars are, because I'm always talking about them. But I know they would love to have some extra people in their network as well. So always feel free to reach out. I'm always open to share.
Great. We will link up the book and your LinkedIn in the show notes here. And hopefully this gives you a chance to grow your network as well.
So.
That's right.
Well, this has been great. I learned a bunch when we first talked, and learned a bunch more here. It's inspirational to see that this program has stuck for a few years, and that it's growing. You're adding more stuff to it. So really appreciate you taking the time to come on and share this. And hopefully this has been super valuable for everyone listening as well.
Yeah, I was just thinking that too, Dan. I think for our listeners, this really gets some wheels turning about things they can be doing and applying it to their own institution. So, Autumn, it's when Dan first told me about this, the first question to him was, wow, do you think she'll talk about that? Do you think she'll share some of that? Because that's just a great set of ideas. So thanks so much for coming on today and doing that. Really great stuff.
I really appreciate you both having me. And really, ultimately, this program wouldn't work at all without the social stars on the team. And I truly thank them wholeheartedly for all that they do and for standing behind the brand and just really representing Civista Bank. Oh, yeah, follow Civista Bank, too. We're out there on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram.
There you go.
Love it. Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.
All right.
Thanks for joining us. To go deeper or get access to some of the valuable nuggets from today's show, go to bankmarketingshow.com. There you'll find episodes, links to resources, and much more. Be sure to subscribe wherever you find your podcasts. And join us next time.